Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I really appreciate you being here. And before we go any further, hit the subscribe button because I'd love to see you back. I've heard from a couple of people who said that they've been watching for a while and just recently commented, and some new subscribers, and I'm just glad to have everybody, and let's join in on conversation. Before I get into today's conversation, because I do want to have a conversation about a couple of things that have been on my radar. Let me just say my tiger is 99.99% better. Thank God. He's taking his nap now. He's been playing with Henry, who is also in the room, and he's just waking up from his nap. So there'll be chaos soon, I could tell you that, but it's good chaos. I wanted to talk a little bit about where bags are made, because there seems to be a lot of discussion about fake bags and bags made by 4-year-olds in sweatshops and what practices, who uses. And I don't want to do a deep dive just yet because I do have a pretty good deal of information, but I wanted to touch on some of those things today before I show my small unboxing. Of course, it all kind of leads to a point, but bag of the day is my beautiful sport red tabby. And you can see that I have her dressed up with the Cassie 19 chain. And this is my Carolina Herrera lipstick that also doubles as a bag charm, keychain, or whatever. I had this a while ago, and I'm also wearing the lipstick now. This color is, oh, what is this color? Nude Supreme. And I really like it. It's a really good nude. It's just deep enough that it gives you color, sort of like the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk, but this has a little bit less pink in it, and it's a little more toward the neutral side. But anyway, there's been a whole lot of talk recently about an article that came out 3 years ago or better from The Cut about rich women buying fake bags. It's not something that's really new, and I don't want to get into a whole lot about whether these women are right or whether they're wrong, or that was Henry, or what the morality is behind it too much. Because really what I wanted to talk about today is, one of the things that is part of that discussion, and the allegation that fake bags are made in sweatshops that employ or use child labor, children 3 and 4 years old. Well, guys, I have to say, I don't really know a whole lot about whether this is or is not factual. I can tell you that I've watched a lot of documentaries and I've read a lot of articles about some of the practices behind counterfeit bags and counterfeit goods in general. And whether or not they fund terrorism, I really can't say because I haven't been there. There are allegations that some of these products are made in factories overseas where they're using child labor, some allegedly as young as 3 or 4 years old, to produce these goods, and that these goods are responsible for funding terrorism, funding all kinds of nefarious actions. And while I do know that a lot of these goods are confiscated, I can tell you a few things about the manufacture of goods overseas in general, and why some things are made in other countries where the labor is cheaper. When I say the labor is cheaper, I mean legitimate labor. And why you shouldn't care about where your bag is made, really, and we'll get to that in a minute. First of all, most of companies that produce anything from automotives to pharmaceuticals to clothing, they're manufactured overseas. Many companies employ factories in different countries where labor is cheaper. And when I say labor is cheaper, I didn't look up what the cost of living is specifically for these countries or what the salaries are being paid to the workers who work in these factories. However, minimum wage here in Philadelphia is $15 an hour. That's the standard rate. So if you contract with the city, you have to guarantee that you're going to pay the cost, the standard living wage is what it is. So whether you are in Texas or in Oklahoma, if you're contracting or doing any kind of business with Philly, you need to guarantee a certain wage rate. I know that if Louis Vuitton, for instance, is engaging workers in a factory in China, or if Coach is engaging workers in a factory in China, the same is not going to apply. They're not going to guarantee those workers $15 an hour. And common sense would tell you that the reason why they're not going to pay them $15 an hour is because it is true. There are people in some countries that get paid $15 a week, US dollars. But those currencies may be set up such that their standard of living, their everyday cost of living, not standard of living, is far lower than ours. Let me give you an example. I have friends who live in Poland, many of whom earn a very good living. They live a typical middle-class lifestyle, and they do so on probably what an average worker here would make without a college degree. Why? Because their economic system is different. And our US dollar doesn't translate into other countries' currencies in quite the same way. So that's one piece of the puzzle. The second bit is that while some companies have been found, where investigators go into some of these flea markets and they've confiscated cosmetic products and they've confiscated counterfeit medicines, and they've been shown to contain dangerous chemicals, irritants, because there's no one who's actually overseeing the manufacturer of those when they're done in a counterfeit way. And all of that is absolutely true. The documents that I've read about counterfeiting from UNICEF and from the UN more talk that these things could be happening, that there's money laundering and that there are criminal activities, and some of these criminals do engage in really nefarious practices. But the same thing happens here, guys. The same sort of things happen here. We have organized crime in the US. We have crime rings. We have people who, steal cars and ship cars overseas. Those things, they happen. They happen everywhere. And I know from one of my friends who worked for a major label and who went to these factories to see where some of the clothing is made, they're going in and they're inspecting to make sure that the factory is running appropriately, but they're not overseeing what that country's laws are. In our country, if you're 14 and you have working papers, you could go to work. It may be younger in some places. There might be technical children who at 16 quit school to go and work a job. Those things do actually happen. So, if those things are happening in factories overseas, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're employing child labor, 3 and 4 year olds, or that they're using these products to do anything more than make money. Because the one thing that all companies want to do is make money. That's the reason why Louis Vuitton raises prices. You could speculate all you want, guys. It's so that, not Nicholas Ghesquiere, but Arnault can line his pockets with more and more cash. And the people who invest in Louis Vuitton can line their pockets with more and more cash. Cost of living hasn't increased that much from 2002 when I bought my first Speedy until now for the price to increase 300% or more now. I'm not really even sure. I'm sure it's going to go up because these things always go up. The second thing that I wanted to touch on is, well, let's get back to the counterfeit goods. So no one's ever actually done a complete expose of finding this and giving visual evidence of child labor making handbags. But there was an expose many years ago involving Kathy Lee Gifford and Kathy Lee Gifford's line of Walmart clothing that was made in an overseas country. I don't remember. It was an Asian country, and there were children who were working there, and some of them were really young, 12, 13 years old. And there was a really, really big controversy over that because obviously you don't want to sell clothing on the backs of people who are not being fairly treated. So yes, there have been instances where, we know that there's inhumane treatment that happens. There's inhumane treatment that happens in the U.S. in the meat industry. Watch Fast Food Nation if you don't, or read the book, and you can find out about how a lot of migrants are employed in these meat factories, and they're cutting meat. They're giving tools that aren't sharp, and they're spending 12 hours a day, chopping ribs, and the knife that's not too sharp is hitting the bone, and they're getting injured from not having the right equipment, and they're taken advantage of because they don't want to be deported out of the U.S. So that's regarding that part, but no one's ever actually shown a factory where illegal bags are made and shown children that were making them. Do I like fakes? No. Do I believe in fakes? No. But I'm not going to judge somebody else for doing what they think is okay to do. It doesn't matter to me. I carry what I carry because I like it. Not to make people think that I'm rich or to make people think that I'm not poor. I do it because I like it. The second thing is, I'm so tired of hearing about the romanticism of France and how, you see made in France and it's like the heavens opened up. This wonderful place called France manufactured my bag by hand. And the bottom line is, first of all, I've been to France. I've been to France several times. And I'm not saying this to brag. I'm saying this because when you travel outside of your own home city, you're going to see that the bottom line is any city is basically the same. There's good areas, there's bad areas, there's rich areas, there's poor areas. You're not going to walk around Paris, even in the best neighborhoods, and see everyone carrying Birkins and Kellys and Louis Vuitton. That doesn't happen. That's not for the everyday person, and it's not even really something that the wealthy often do. Same with Chanel. You'll see people wearing Longchamp. You'll see people wearing no-name bags. You'll see people wearing American-made bags like Coach, but you're not going to see every other person head to toe in furs and couture and carrying a designer bag. Second of all, the people who manufacture those bags in France aren't some old man who inherited his craft for a million generations. And Autumn had talked about this not long ago as well. These people are trained as apprentices, as new employees. I saw an ad for Louis Vuitton for the factory in Texas, and this is probably going to make people say, oh, well, that's Texas, it's not France. But when a company oversees things, they're going to have standards that they have to apply to for everywhere that something is made. So if a factory does things a certain way in France, they have to do it in Spain and Italy and the US, everywhere across the board, just like McDonald's. It's why when you go to a McDonald's anywhere on the planet, a Big Mac is still going to taste like a Big Mac. So let me get back to the whole made in France baloney. Those factories in France run the same way they do here. They take people, and I've seen the advertisements, as I said again, and if I find one, I'm going to link it. You can find out very easily what people make, and apprentices that just start in the manufacturing or production end start at $15 an hour, a little bit over $15 an hour, and seamstresses somewhere around $21 an hour. These are not people who have learned their craft from their grandparents and are hand stitching anything. In fact, in 2010, the Advertising Standards Association in Great Britain banned the Louis Vuitton ad because it portrayed women at a sewing machine, or not at a sewing machine, I'm sorry, women who were stitching together bag handles and making wallets. And they said that they could not use those ads because it's misleading. It's misleading to show pieces are being handmade when these bags are being made mostly by sewing machine, and they are. If you watch the documentary, and it's available on YouTube, it's about Marc Jacobs, and it's about how he created the 2007 line at Louis Vuitton, their runway show. You'll see that even when they put together the runway bags, they were stitched on a sewing machine. So if you're buying it in France, in Spain, or in Italy, you're getting the same thing. And it's a total myth that you're going to be getting something that's made better. And the last point that I want to make for today is, am I a bag snob? No, not really. Do I like luxury bags? Yes, I love luxury bags. Do I like good quality bags? I do. Why would I choose a luxury brand over a contemporary brand? Because I like the looks of it. Because it's more than likely something that I'm not going to get an equivalent that I would be as happy with because of the looks of it. Not because the contemporary brand is inferior, or because I don't want to be seen with a contemporary brand, or that I have to carry a designer brand in order to feel good, because anything I do because I want to. And that's one of the biggest luxuries that a person can have, to have the choice to do the things that you want to do, to have the time and to have the opportunity to do the things that you want to do, including buying luxury bags. I wear what I wear because I like it. Excuse me, I don't feel any different if I'm carrying a luxury bag. I don't buy fake bags. I wouldn't wear a fake bag and present it like it was a real bag. And if I see someone who's carrying an obvious fake, who cares? I might say, well, like I did the other day. I was waiting for the train, and there was a woman who was getting on the train, and I noticed that she was carrying a fake carry-all. Not carry-all, excuse me. The on the go. You could buy this same bag on Etsy. I saw it on Etsy because I look for it. You could buy fakes on Etsy and dupes, but this was a green and white on the go. And I knew it wasn't a real one because I don't remember seeing this particular colorway. And I could tell by the construction of it that it wasn't a real Louis Vuitton. And this woman was carrying some things back and forth to work in it. Good for you. If you like it and you want it, good for you. I'm not in any position to judge whether she thinks she's special or if she's fooling somebody, nor do I care. I just looked at the bag. I knew that it wasn't a real bag. You know, maybe she doesn't care if it's a real bag. Whatever. There's no morality in her decision as to whether or not to carry this bag. It's her decision and her decision only. There's no judgment that should be passed on why people choose to do the things that they do. Come over here, babies. It's their choice. And, you know, be kind to people. If you don't enjoy dupes or fakes or approve of those things, you don't have to talk about how great it is that you can buy the real thing, or how you're going to save up for the real thing and, you know, be so sanctimonious about it, because, you know, Jesus said, judge lest ye be judged. So, or judge not lest ye be judged. That's the saying. So you don't know how people are judging you. You don't know if they're thinking that your bag is fake or real. You don't know if they're wondering how you can afford to buy a particular bag. Some people don't want to. Some people don't care. And it's everyone's personal choice. So please, let's stop getting into, you know, looking at other people and their choices and saying they're wrong. I did a video about luxury judgment. It's just something that really leaves a bad taste in my mouth. So with all of this being said, no, I'm not a bag snob. And when I was thinking about how I needed a tote for work, I was thinking, well, do I want a Gucci tote? Do I want to get a Coach tote? And then I really thought about it, and I said, you know, right now I just need something that I'm going to be able to carry my lunch in, because I'm not the kind of person who's going to ask which luxury bag am I going to carry to a theme park. Yeah, I did carry a Coach bag that I bought on real sale like 10 years ago when I went to Universal Studios. But if I'm going to, you know, choose between a Neverfull and a pochette accessoire to take to Disney, no, neither one of those is happening. I want to take something that's durable and that's not going to show dirt and grime and whatever. So when it came time for me to talk about or think about what kind of bag I needed for work, I thought, well, you know, I carry plastic shopping bags from, or paper shopping bags from shopping trips or whatever to carry my lunch, because I'm not going to put those into any place lest there be any food transfer smells. And I said, I have a lot of nice bags, so why don't I just do this? So I'm going to unbox the bag that I bought to tote my things to work. And it's a good one, guys. I think it's going to be a good one. Thought I was going to be disappointed. No, I know it's not. I know it's not the wrong one. It's just paper. So I went on the Bloomingdale's website, and I bought this. What brand is it, guys? What brand? What is it? What is it? My goodness, this has a lot of layers. I would have never known. Look, it's in a plain brown bag wrapper. And open it up to reveal the Bloomingdale's Windows Tote. Yes, this is what I bought so that I could carry a couple of books to work. I could throw my lunch in here, maybe a water bottle, and if something spills in it, I really don't care. I could use any one of my handbags and then just carry this to go along with it, because it's small enough and light enough that I could pack it with those couple of things. And if I want to take a walk, I could leave this at my desk, and this should last for quite a while. Let's do a little ABS. Here's the front. You can see it's the front of the Bloomingdale's store at 59th and Lexington. The flagship, same pattern on the back. And I'm really tickled with myself because I'm not putting my lunch in a $1,600 Gucci bag. So let's get into the second package, because, you know, just buying that wasn't enough. I thought, why not just kind of add to the party. So let's get into bag number 2. Gotta be careful because I don't want to rip the item. And yeah, I'm excited about this. I have totes, but sometimes I don't want to use a tote. And I thought that this was a really good solution. So we have item number 2. My goodness, how do you open these things? Usually there's an area, here it is. An area where the package starts. And we also have another brown wrapping. Okay. And I bought the little cosmetic case because I could put a pen in here. I could put a couple pens in here. And I could fit my phone charger in here because I have to take one of my chargers back and forth to work. So if I put it back in here, I don't have to worry about stuffing it into my handbag or having another case. If I'm wearing a smaller bag, it could go in here and it'll be just fine. So altogether, I think that these 2 items were $52, $53 with tax. Very reasonable, very inexpensive. And I think that it was a really smart decision. So that's the end of my rant for today. I'd appreciate it if you want to continue the discussion. Please put any comments in the box below. I will be back tomorrow with another very special collab video. And I appreciate all of you for watching and hanging in. And if you've hung in this far, give me a thumbs up in the comments. I would really like to see how many people actually listen to the whole thing the whole way through. Have a great weekend, guys. Bye-bye.